the future of work is very much here and we're living in it, but the systems to assist us in this new age are just not there.
You need to find your people that you could relate to, because being a founder, especially in the remote first world that we're living in, can be so isolating.
If you say you're going to do something, actually do it, live and breathe it, and see how it can infiltrate every part of your business rather than just the mission statement.
Welcome to Unfair Advantage. This is the show where we skip the unicorn playbooks and we get right into what works when we're building with lean teams. I'm really happy to welcome Rita. She is the founder and CEO of Pioneering People, and she is reshaping the gig economy. Welcome, Rita.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to today's session. And it was a pleasure to meet you in Dublin and continuing conversations that we started.
No, totally. You're one of the few guests I actually met in person before. So
Thanks.
I also kicked off our co-host Mike because I said this session is going to be women talk as our
Amazing.
first. You're our first female founder guest on the show. So what better way to wrap up season 1? I'm really
Amazing.
excited. So we're
Feeling
going to get
honored.
into like some stuff that we promised you guys in today's show. How you built Pioneering People to 10,000 users and like 80 plus clients without even spending a single pound on marketing. I think people will want to hear how you did that. And yeah, like let's get into it. I think I would start off just to start off really broad. Like, what's keeping you up at night right now as a founder?
Oof, that's a great question. I would think it's mainly the fact that when you're so passionate about what you're doing, you just want everything in that business or in that mission to just go so well. So I think for a lot of people as like a founder, if they're building something, there'll be like this one big thing that will keep them up at night. Whereas I'm always thinking of like the intricacies. I'm like, is this working? Is that working? Are they having the best experience? Are they having the best shift? But I guess my biggest concern, if I could say concern, would be fundraising. It's already difficult to fundraise as a founder, but I think as a young female founder, it just feels so much harder. Like there's statistics that show it, there's data that shows it, but going through it with very little network is just like, climbing up a very steep mountain.
I'm watching your journey though, and I think you're doing all the right moves. I can really sympathize with that as well. I mean, what was the statistic? It was like 2%. Women are funded at 2% the rate that men are.
Yeah, it's 2% of funding goes to us, but actually in 2025, it's gotten worse. So
It's gotten worse.
Yeah. So now I think it's 1.8%.
Oh my God. Well, for women listening out there, don't let this discourage you, because like by the end of the show, you're going to be convinced that
No,
being a woman founder is your unfair advantage.
precisely. And like, I think at the end of the day, it's not looking at that and feeling awful. It's looking at that and being like, okay, how can we make a change? Even if it's as a female founder, you don't have so much money, in the bank maybe, but what you do have is maybe a little bit. And actually small tickets can make you go far. It's something that I learned in a recent accelerator that was, you don't need to be an established investor and have thousands or millions in the bank, but giving £500 or £1,000 to a startup that you really love and have like alignment with the mission and can really help the founder is a really good way to build relationships. And then you never know, down the line, they can become your investor as well. So that's something that I hadn't really done before or toyed with the idea before, but I think that's going to be actually like a mission for 2026 of put your money where your mouth is, but also support things that you love.
You want to support me? Yeah. No, very true. I think let's talk about that. Just dip into it a little bit because we've already started on that topic. Like fundraising is hard no matter what. Founders will go 6 months just getting rejection after rejection after rejection. I see those LinkedIn posts everywhere. We're starting to fundraise also at SPVO, and it's like, where do we begin? Well, networking, right?
Yeah. Networking has genuinely been the way I've gotten most of my fundraising. I think it's putting yourself out there, even in situations that you think, I don't know if this is an event that's like perfect for me, or I'm exhausted, I've had such a tough day, but actually I, had such a long day yesterday, went to an event and I was like, I'm not going to make more than an hour, but really enjoyed it and was there for the whole thing. And actually, I got energy from speaking to other people in a similar boat to me or speaking to other people that are maybe further down the line from me. And I've actually done it. And I get motivated by hearing the fact of it's not millions of miles away. Like if other people can do it, I can do it too. So why not just jump into this process? So networking is so, so, so vital at any stage you're at. Even if you're not fundraising, it's so important, but especially when you're fundraising.
especially when. And I think that's where being a woman makes you a good differentiator because yeah, you naturally stand out in a crowd of full of SaaS and
Yeah,
software techie people, right?
exactly.
Um, even if you don't want to.
Exactly. Even if you don't want to, and like I think that's okay as well, is like acknowledging that. And like you said, using it as your unfair advantage of like, that's who I am. I have a different perspective on things, and actually this could help. And you get better returns.
Yeah, totally. All right, so let's back it up to a little bit of the beginning of how you started because I think a lot of folks might not know. The beginning of pioneering people. Would you want to walk us through how you got to 10,000 users and the journey that led you to that quick spike?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could speak about this for hours, but I'll try to keep it short and concise. So I come from the hospitality world. My parents have been in it. My grandparents had a wine bar. It just feels like it's always been something that we've done, whether it's a full-time thing or not. It was just always something we were interested in. But I grew up kind of having a lot of fun working in the hospitality world, but also being like, gosh, this is so difficult and so unpredictable. And in a world where I can order Uber in 2 seconds to fill in a busy shift, I could not order like a human being or set of hands to come and fill in for a busy shift. So that was always in the back of my head of like, I needed a business or a solution to it, but let me run away from it and do everything else. And graduating in the pandemic meant that I had very limited options when I graduated. So I started a food blog as I'm super passionate about food, hence coming from the restaurant world. It's not, a far shot. So yeah, I started creating content online, really enjoying it, getting some cool like partnerships, getting sent free food, and basically gave me something to do. To actually realizing when I launched my business, the best platforms that I could market on were not really starting from scratch and opening new accounts with zero followers. Is like, well, I already have an engaged user base that have seen my journey for the last couple of years. Let me now explain of like what I'm doing next, but also how they can fund their journeys. So I think the one thing about like being like a food blogger or somebody that posts about like restaurants and experiences, it's you get a lot of it for free, but you're telling other people to spend their money on it. And they can turn around and be like, well, that's really expensive. So the rhetoric I used for like launch day was I'm launching a business that can help you fund your hobbies. And most of your hobbies are in food. So you can work in that restaurant and then go spend money elsewhere. And that did so well on socials. Again, it didn't get like millions of views, but it got just enough to get like 100 users within 24 hours.
That's amazing. Just off a post, and this was on TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
Amazing, amazing. So for those of you who say that TikTok doesn't convert, this is
Oh, it
proof
does.
that it does.
Yeah,
That's really cool. I love that. That really speaks to the importance of building your network and building an audience early on, even before you might not even have a business idea yet. I bet you going into this food blog you journey, like you weren't really expecting to create a business like pioneering people. You were just doing what you loved and growing an audience base around that. So
absolutely. I mean, I was speaking about it today, even with my LinkedIn. I think I used to find it so cringe and I used to find it just so like sometimes painful to post on there.
yeah,
But actually, when I then launched Pioneering People, I already had, I think it was like 2 or 3 thousand followers, which is not that much in the grand scheme of things. I've now got, I think, 15,000, but it was enough people that I kept posting like hints of what I wanted to launch. And I was getting messages all the time, like, what on earth are you launching? I'm going crazy by people that I'd never met before. So again, putting yourself out there is so important. Because you never know when you're gonna need that. You can make 1,000,001 friends, like, in today's world, but if you don't have them in a centralized space, like, ready to support you when you are gonna launch something or it doesn't even mean launching something. When you are gonna maybe even launch a campaign at work and you need the first couple of viewers,
Yeah.
it's really wonderful to know that you have people like cheering for you on a range of platforms or just one. Choose kind of which works for you.
100%. I have to say, I love the way you post too. You don't just do salesy stuff. You're literally sharing your journey, and doing a whole founder-led, thought leadership, right, in my opinion. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I took a week off LinkedIn recently and it felt like a month. Like it felt a really long time. And actually, when I came back, I was like, I feel even more refreshed and I have more ideas. So it's not just about like churning content every single day for the sake of it. It's doing when you feel like it. And I didn't feel like it last week. So that's fine. And this week, I'm like very much the opposite. I'm like, I really feel like it and I have so much to say. So I think, yes, consistency is one thing, but also not pushing yourself to do something that's very fake of like, ugh, this is another chore. But actually, this is my life. This is what I'm building. And I feel passionate enough to share it with other people that can learn from me, or vice versa. Of I've had investors reach out to me because they've seen how well I'm doing on LinkedIn and say, like, is it really true that you grew 300% last month? I'm like, yes, here's some further details. Um, so it's a good way to kind of capture a larger audience that perhaps you wouldn't have met or seen in like any other way.
100%. 100%. So, yeah, LinkedIn, audience building definitely is important. Do you do any like outreach also on LinkedIn as well to folks that you think are in your potential audience space?
I have done a little bit, and I'm gonna be like put my hands up and say, surprisingly, I haven't done as much as I probably should have. But it's only year 2 of our startup, and there was just so much to do. We've only raised a small angel round, so our team isn't huge. So when you're kind of doing product and squashing bugs and customer service and operations and marketing, it's the outbound hasn't been huge. But I've been lucky enough of like because of my marketing and personal brand that we've now got, I think it's almost 95 clients signed up to our platform, and most of them have been inbound. They've seen what we're doing and they're like, this is what I need. And I think for me, that was quite important in the first year or before we got any major funding to understand, is there a product market fit? Are there enough people out there who need the product before I'm throwing it in their face, before I'm really selling to them, or before I'm paying to put ads in front of them? Because I think what happens in this day and age when we get so many ads about something, sometimes you end up downloading something or signing up just because it just keeps being in your face, and but you don't go out and search for it. Whereas what I wanted pioneering people to be is like people that have this problem will go out, search for it, really need it, and then say, ah, I found the solution. And then in that way, they become a stickier customer because they feel like they got, they were the ones that discovered it. They then tell their friends and family. Whereas if you've been sold to, you're not as proud as like signing up to something, if that makes sense. So I've realized that's like human nature and behavior of like feeling like you've discovered something feels like a
Yeah.
lot nicer and you're a lot more loyal to it than if you feel like you've been sold a product.
Yeah. I've never heard of inbound be described in that way, but it's so true when you really break it down because they're like an active participant in their buyer journey. And that's also a great indicator of product market fit. And I think that's a big reason also why pioneering people is taking off like this because it is a real hair on fire problem for a lot of folks. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about actually that? Like what problem are you solving for your users?
Absolutely. So for people that haven't been in hospitality or worked in the gig economy, it might seem a little bit obvious, like, oh, this should have existed already. But in short, my platform connects companies to instant temporary staff. So if you're, setting up a stall for a Christmas market, it's probably going to be you as the founder and maybe like one person from the team, but you don't have enough people to cover the entire Christmas period, or you'll be working 7 days a week, every hour of the day. So what our platform does, it can connect you to instant temporary staff that can fill in those shifts, work those hours. And what the platform does is find them for you, verify them for you, and pay them through the platform. So you don't have to worry about your finance team or invoicing or any of that hassle. At the same time, you don't have to worry about right to work checks, identity verifications, and everything else that comes with finding someone to work. So we really try to take the hassle out of staffing, but we're not a recruitment agency and we're not a staffing agency. How I really position us, it's We are the platform that you go to make your life easier as a business owner. And yes, it was launched for the hospitality world, but with the future of work being so prominent and with businesses really valuing like flexing up and down, whether it's for a project, end of quarter, end of month, or just a busy Saturday night and everybody's got this horrible flu, that's where our platform can really come in. So we're really playing into the fact that this generation values autonomy, and how that can be shaped, and how every side can win. It doesn't just have to be of like, this is perfect for business owners or this is perfect for workers. This
True.
kind of works for everybody, and it's as simple as possible for each side.
I love that. Everyone who needs a hand. Like hosting a party for my birthday a year ago was so hard to find like a waiter to come just for
Yeah,
the evening. And I think even having that mental load taken care of is huge. Just to have that added hand, or like SaaS founders who are going to conferences, they need someone to wear a mascot. Like, you know?
literally, we've had mascots on our platform that was like, I think our second or third. So it's exactly just someone to step in. And I say to people of like, they say, who signed up to your platform? I'm like, we've got hotels and restaurants. And then we've also, like you just said, got tech businesses that need a mascot or are going to a conference and they want somebody handing out leaflets whilst they
Mm.
do the actual networking, or they're hosting an event at the office and they don't want to clean up glasses after everyone's gone because they've had a really long work day. So it can really fill in for anything. Like I said, it's made for hospitality, but that doesn't mean that the technology cannot just find really cool people in your area that have the right to work, want to work, and could just fill in those hours.
Totally. Wow, I can't believe there wasn't anything like that really before. It's kind of like an Upwork for in-person
Yeah,
gigs,
pretty
right?
much. And
Um,
like you said, when you're throwing a birthday party, the last thing you want to worry about is like like you've kind of planned it
logistics,
and
yeah.
then you want to have fun. You don't want
Yeah.
to stand there like, does everyone have a drink? Does everyone have a bit of food? And I know because I love to host parties, but actually paying somebody a 50, 60 pound shift, the return on that is
Yeah.
insane because you've just suddenly got so much more time and everybody else is having a better time because they're being looked after. So I don't just say of like, oh, it's a helping hand. For me, what I where I really see the value of our platform is capturing revenue that perhaps you wouldn't be able to capture. So think of it when you go to a bar on a Friday night and like, you can't get your order in. I'm always thinking in the back of my head, by the time I've waited, I probably would have drank another drink. So I'm
Mm.
like saving money by waiting, but also the bar's losing money because I'm not getting good service. So that's another big thing of like hiring an extra person, yes, saves you and like is like hassle free, but also can bring in a lot more money that you would have perhaps lost if they weren't there.
Love that. I love that. It's actually so simple when you break it down, which is why I think the fit is great. It's right there. Um, Amazing. Do we want to talk a bit about like your North Star metrics? Because I know you have a different take on this. And when you're starting out a business, you were telling me it took off so fast, and then you were like, oh, okay, now
Yeah.
what? Right? So
Yeah.
talk me
I
through
think
that.
for us, it's like, we wanted by the end of the first year to have about 300 active verified users, and then second year to have 900. So we would have, tripled that. Yeah, we've smashed those targets in a great but scary way of, yeah, now we're at 10,000 B2C, and then we're at almost 100 B2B. I'd love to get to 100 by the end of the year, but honestly, it seems that everybody's only working today, tomorrow, and logging off. So I don't know. Let's see. Um, but yeah, we grew a lot quicker than expected, which is brilliant. But our North Star metric will always be the impact side of things. Like, how many people are actually getting paid? Are they still getting paid on the day like we said they would? And are they all getting paid above living wage? And we've absolutely stuck to that from day one.
I love that. I love that mission. I think it's really helping folks out in today's economy. But there's the other side to it. Like, right, young people would want to, maybe if they get a gig in a hotel or something and they want to work in hospitality, that's already your foot in the door, by showing up and meeting the owners and actually, right?
Absolutely. And I think I keep hearing this word recently that I love called a portfolio career. And it's wonderful. The days of when our parents, grandparents would work for one company from when they left uni or left school until they retired are very much behind us. I think it's so much harder to get a job now. So you have to prove so much more and have so much more on your CV. But again, it's hard to then build that CV. So what we do is we give them the opportunity to do, you can be an event staff one night, a hotel cleaner the next night, then the next night be doing like data annotation on your computer from home. And actually that means that you have developed so many skills in a short amount of time. That means that you can go out there in this new super difficult economy a lot better equipped. So again, this is something that I've said recently, and I've said to our investors, it's like the future of work is very much here and we're living in it, but the systems to assist us in this new age are just not there. They're stuff that we used 20, 30, 40 years ago, where you called an agent and you were like, please find me a job. And then there'd be a recruiter on your hand out saying, okay. And then they would throw CVs at a business. It was like the
Yeah.
business doesn't have time anymore. They don't really want to spend that much money anymore. And the worker doesn't know if they just want to spend months and months somewhere or years and years somewhere. They're like, well, I want to have control of my life and my hours, and I want to try different things. I think I was so lucky in my early career that I tried everything. I was super hyperactive teenager and student. And so I did so many different jobs. But when I ended up in my first marketing job, I went in as business development, and I thought that was me. Like, I'd done economics, I'd done a bit of sales. But I had a really fantastic manager who saw my work and was like, you do realize you have a marketing brain. And I was like, no, that's for creative people. And he's like, no, you keep coming up with ideas and how to execute them. That's called marketing. So I guess it was that, and like being, agile enough to move to different departments and different jobs is where I really realized that marketing was my thing.
I love that. If this episode's hitting for you, go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps more lean teams find their edge, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Let's talk about that a little bit, because you mentioned you had worked in a startup with like millions in funding, and you were running these campaigns with real budgets. And then you started your own, and it's really bootstrapped at the moment. Like, how has your approach to marketing changed, and like what's your go-to-market motion going to look like now?
I think that's a great question, because obviously it was such a big change. Like, yes, that was a startup, but it was a startup that at one point had over 100 employees and millions in funding, as you said. And then I was suddenly alone, had to get users, had to get businesses, had to get investors, and had to do everything by myself. So, when you love something and that's inherently in you and you're excited about it, like marketing is for me, I still had those crazy campaign ideas, but I never really let them. I think a lot of people, when they're doing something they don't have budget, they shut themselves down. But what I did was like, okay, my dream campaign is this. I need stupid amounts of money to do it. What's the reality? So then I'd break it. I wouldn't go like, I want to get users. What do I do? I'd always think crazy nuts idea could get me bajillions of users overnight. Then let's break it down to what's affordable. And actually you realize that not having money or being bootstrapped makes you a lot more creative than
Yeah.
if you get so much in funding that you almost have to use, because that's how the VC model is. Like, if you get funded in millions, you have to go and spend that money. But if you don't have that and you have to go get the users, that's when your brain starts to think of really odd ideas.
Like
Uh,
what?
I mean, like using my food blog, that was like, my friends were like, what is this? Like, this is your food page. Like, why are you talking about business? I'm like, I'm not talking about business. I'm selling it as a lifestyle. So people that don't even realize they're being sold to, I'm helping them. Or I went to my old university and was like, I know that you have to pay to like have a stall here, but I don't have any money. And they were like, we love the fact that you showed up, just like during the fair, basically. And actually since then they've been super supportive. Like, I've been part of like an incubator they've done. They've given me a free office. And I think it's just putting yourself out there in ways that you think are so difficult and so cringe and so out of the box, are just super beneficial. So yeah, and it's also like not giving up in different ways. Like, if you think Instagram is going to be great for you and you've been posting on it for a year and it's not, maybe it isn't, and that's okay. So I think that's exactly what happened to us. If you look at our Instagram, we pretty much post the same things there as we post on a lot of platforms, but we've barely got 300 followers. Then you look at our TikTok, which we started a lot later and have half the content, and we've got thousands of followers and like hundreds of thousands of views. And it's just like, what? I think if I went super stubborn, full speed ahead, I want to grow at Instagram, I would have never have discovered the fact that having our own TikTok page would have been great. or posting on LinkedIn would have been great. Or actually, funny enough, Facebook has been around the first. So, you know, I'm kind of in the middle of Gen Z and millennial. I
Yeah.
thought Instagram all the way, and that has been our worst platform. And that's okay to like admit and pivot and try different things.
But these are really great points. Just unpacking what you said earlier about budget being that constraint. I think, yeah, creativity thrives when you're like constraining yourself. So you had mentioned this before. You were like, you reverse engineered your dream campaign, right? So you're like, this is what I'd love to have. This is on my like dream board. Let's try and make the same end result happen, but with a
Yeah.
different starting point.
I
I
think that's the best way to go about it because it's like you still allow yourself to dream, and that's always very important. Um, because then obviously when you then do get that funding or you do get enough revenues, you can go and do it. But actually, it's also documenting it. I feel like you said, I've been so honest with my journey online. I think people really like to see that. There was one point when all the universities that we wanted to work with were like, it's minimum £500 to be at the university and market, which is fair enough. But then I was thinking that plus travel costs, there's just no way. Plus the time. And so what I did was I used my own platform to grow, and I found like one student per university to basically be our own mini ambassadors and hand out the flyers themselves rather than ourselves. And I think it sounds so simple, but actually it put money into people's hands that needed it more than us. And yes, it was only £50, but £50 for a student is like covering their entire weekend worth of going out or a
Yeah.
textbook or whatever it may be for university. And for us, it's a quarter of the price that we would have spent giving it in the hands of the university that realistically £500 to them is not a lot, but £50 for a student is a lot. So for me, it's again, if my North Star metric is like, mission focus and putting money in the hands of people that need it most, make sure that that lives in every single thing that you do. And you're not just saying it for the sake of saying it and for the sake of like slapping it on your website. So I think for me, that's been a really key part of marketing and growth of like, if you say you're going to do something, actually do it, live and breathe it, and see how it can infiltrate every part of your business rather than just the mission statement.
I love that so much because you're basically focusing if you focus on adding massive value to both the user and the end user, like in your sense, it's a platform. So you got the people hiring and the people being hired, and it's massive benefits for each.
Yeah.
Then that's natural that they would use it. I love that. I wonder how many businesses would improve just if they shifted their focus away from like a number KPI in terms of users and stuff and just actual like sheer what's the biggest thing that this person values, right?
I think it's also hard. Obviously, as we get bigger, we're looking at KPIs of like hours. So, for example, before we used to do like shifts, and now
Hmm.
I'm looking at hours because someone could do a 3 hour shift and someone can do like a 14-hour shift spread over 2 days, but it's posted as one job. And actually, recently I was like, oh God, I need to start looking at these numbers. And like, we'd always been looking at them, but I really need to start like figuring out what's super important, what's not so important. Is it important that we make lots of people happy for short shifts or a few people happy for longer shifts? And deciding all those things happens as you grow. But I think from day dot, before we even had any data to play with, we were like, we just want to make people happy. And that is our main goal. So yeah, keeping those more like loose KPIs is great. Um, but at the end of the day, data is also valuable.
Very true. I love that so much. That's such a female founder take. I think that's like a good transition. I don't think a man would ever say, "Who just want to make our users happy."
I mean, that's also true, and I think impact is such an important thing for me. Like, I think the businesses that I love and look up to most are the ones that have the intersection between, like, purpose and profit.
Mm,
So if you can make money and make the world or society a better place, you are the coolest person in the whole world, in my eyes. Um, and of course, there's businesses out there that just, like, exist for the like, sake of existing, and they're really useful, but it's the purpose businesses that get me personally very excited, and inspire me on a daily basis.
100%. That's such a Gen Z thing to say, I have to say.
That is also Gen Z, yeah, it is.
But that's a great thing. It's such a good shift. And nowadays it's become easier than ever to launch a product and to start a company. But if you focus on those fundamentals, I think it's also really easy to stand out and just be different.
I completely agree. I think I think it's also like being authentic. It's so easy in this day and age of like, we have so much info, like books, podcasts, posts, everything, to just be like, oh, but somebody said doing this is better. Let me do it. And if that strays away from your authentic self or what your like original mission was, it's going to be very obvious. And maybe not the first or second time, because not that many people were watching. But once you get an audience and they realize that nothing that you're doing is matching up with what you were doing before, they're not going to have that loyalty to you. And that's okay if like, if that's what you want to do and you want to try everything at the beginning. But once you decide your niche, your mission, the reason that you exist, stick to it. Like it's okay to not follow the latest trends. There was one point I was trying to do every TikTok trend under the sun. We were not getting any views for that. And if we were not getting conversion. I realized we get TikTok views and we're like, this is what we have on our platform. There are cool trips on our platform. And then if the images match and they kind of like how it looks, and like it's so basic, it's not rocket science, but it works for us. I thought I could also do like the founder stuff of like, this is my story, whatever on TikTok. It didn't seem to work on our account. Because if you were following us, we're like, I don't care about this guy that's building a tech platform at
Yeah.
home. I care about the job that I can do and make money tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I started a different account doing the founder stories, and that really works separately. So it's fine to try, and but also know when to give up. Like I
Yeah.
think that's a really underrated skill of like trying different things, but also saying like, it's fine, this is not working. I can give up because I've seen that there's no point putting time and energy into it.
Totally. Experimentation. But I think you also make a great case for you get different audiences from different channels naturally. Like I imagine that on TikTok it's more the B2C users who are following you, and then on LinkedIn it's the investors and B2B. And as such, the content and the goals of the content have to be differentiated for them.
Absolutely. And I think again, a lot of people don't love making content. A lot of my friends don't, and that's so fair enough. I say to them like, you don't have to force yourself. Like, if you hate it, it's pretty obvious. Like, you can tell when someone is
Mm,
posting for the sake of posting, but if you adore it, like I do, like I'm always thinking how something is content. Like, I could be having a conversation with someone like in a bar on like the weekend. I'm like content, um, which is like I don't force myself to do. Fortunately, that is just the way that my brain
yeah.
thinks because I enjoy consuming it and I enjoy making it. And if you don't, that's also okay. Because I think we live in a day and age that you can really just say, you know what, I'm crap at that. Someone else can do it, or something else, or a tool can do it. And I can focus on the thing that I adore, but I'm also really, really good at. And I think again, it ties into pioneering people. And I say that to business owners. I'm like, if you are the best salesperson ever and you don't know you're behind the bar, like cleaning glasses, you can hire someone to do that so that you can be at the front selling your expensive wines, and the annoying stuff behind the bar that just takes up your time and doesn't give you like a lot of value. You know, someone can fit in and do that for you. And then they're like, oh, because realistically, if you're not there selling the expensive wines because you know them inside out, or you've been to the region, or you just love that wine, that person that comes in for a shift and doesn't know anything about wine is not going to sell it either, unless they're super lucky. So I think, yeah, we live in a day where we have tools online and for in person to play into our best attributes and to just say like, this is me, this is my skill set, and I can't be good at everything because I am a human being, and people can help me get to my goals.
We're founders, but we're human beings also.
Yes.
I think that's such a great point you make. Whether you're working in a bar and you're trying to make the biggest ROI by selling the expensive wine, that applies directly when you're founding a company and you have to wear all the hats and do the marketing and be an SDR all of a sudden and do demos, and you're just switching between this and that. And yeah, like it's okay to admit that this isn't my forte and maybe I'll make more money if I just focalize on this thing and then
Yeah.
temporarily hire someone until we
And
get
I
more.
think it's also being transparent about that. Like when I first started fundraising or first started posting on LinkedIn, I was like so obvious about the fact that I am an ideas and like creator person. But then like operational side of things, I'll do it because I had to. But the second that I could afford not to, I
Yeah.
gave it to somebody that we're like yin and yang. Like she is so good at everything I'm terrible at, and vice versa. And therefore that's where I really saw our growth of like, I can remove stuff off my plate that drains me, even though I can do it. Um, but
Yeah.
then that can really play into my forte and make sure that the growth is on a very high level compared to before.
That's a great point. I think that's also the best rule of thumb if to know who to hire for next in a startup, because as it develops, it's kind of hard to know 6 months ahead who you're going to need. But it's to hire the next person. They have to love what you hate doing. They have to be really good at that, and
Yeah,
then so forth, right?
precisely. And it's like, I think a lot of people, when they're looking to find a co-founder or a team, they're looking for their like next best friend or like another one of them. They're like, oh, I wish I had another one of me. And I'm like, no. If you've got another one of you, like that is, but it's also like just use
Yeah.
AI then. If you want to just like replicate stuff, use tools. Don't use a whole human being that can be a lot more than just another you. And realistically, you need somebody like you just said that can take those skills and do something else. And I always say, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're so in the wrong room. And as a founder, you need to be learning from your team, from your investors, from your advisors, from your network every single day to get ahead. Otherwise, you're just going to be in a circle and a loop of like, "Ooh, I've had a good idea. Let me execute it. Oh, I'm the best. I'm just going to keep going." Whereas, like, if you're speaking to other people, they're like, "No, Rita, that's a terrible idea, and you've lost it again." You slide back a little bit, but then you come up with something that's a lot better, and then that graph really goes up. So, you know, I'm not saying spend thousands on a team when you can't afford it, because God knows we can't do that. But surround yourself with people that will challenge what you're doing and are way better at something that you are terrible at. And there's enough networks out there. And this is not me trying to sell anything. I've also got my own, set it out like out of complete necessity of I felt like there was not enough networks for people of a certain demographic. I think there's so many things that focus on gender or industry, but not a lot on age. So I started my business when I was 23, 24. And every room that I went into, I was like very visibly the youngest one there. I then went to like a women's day event in March, met somebody similar age to me. She also said the same thing. And now we host like a supper club for founders under 30 once a month. We've got a WhatsApp where we've got a whole community that can really help one another of all the mess of being a founder, plus not being taken seriously because you haven't been doing it for long enough or haven't been working for long enough. So therefore, how can you know what the problems are out there for you to solve? And I think that's just an understatement. You know, we've
Yeah.
seen so many unicorn founders that are under 30, but there didn't feel like there was one centralized place for us to meet and chat. So that's what we've kind of created.
That's such a great point. That's such a great point. I never thought about it that way, but it's true. I kind of bundled it up as being a woman and being relatively young. But yeah, like you need to find your people. I think that's the key point that you could relate to, because being a founder, especially in the remote first world that we're living in, can be so isolating. And then sometimes you just feel like it's just you and your computer and your internet friends. And it's like, I can attest to this, like, I live in Rome in Italy, most of the year, and I don't interact with other startup hubs here, and I probably should because I feel like my work life is in the UK and in North America, and here I'm just, like, floating around with no network.
Yeah. And I think it's just like those in-person conversations, you don't have to sit down and give each other like crazy value add. But if you can just sit down and say, isn't fundraising terrible? And someone else goes,
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
Sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you just need a coffee and someone
That's
to agree
weird.
with you. Say, it's not just me. Because I think if you read a post, it's negative. But actually, when you speak to someone, they're going through the same thing, you typically will be like, oh, like it's terrible, it's terrible. And then you like almost cancel those feelings. You're like, whatever, we can do it together now because we've both acknowledged that. And at the same time, I keep saying fundraising is terrible. I've learned a lot about myself and about other people fundraising. So it's definitely a journey that I have loved and hated.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but it's one that you will learn so much on. So
Yeah.
yeah, finding other people that are just trying to go through similar things to you and can provide bits of advice or just listen to you
Solidarity.
about it. Yeah, is great because we all have fantastic, family and friends, but my
They
sister
don't
who's
get it.
the student will never understand, the stress of running a business, trying to get users and trying to fundraise at the same time. Her stresses are a lot scarier when I look at those buildings. I'm like, I don't understand how you drew that. But it's, she can rant to me if she wants, and I'll just kind of be like,
Yeah.
cool.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something just inherently valuable with someone who just gets it. Like remember going to SaaS Talk for the first time and never once having to explain what SaaS is. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like
Yeah,
people.
exactly. And I was at the event and I would say what I did in like one sentence and everybody got it. And I was like,
Yes.
phew.
Mm.
Yeah, you go to other things and you're just like, you just keep going and you can see it's going over their heads. And that's okay. You're like, okay, cool. Clearly I'm in the wrong room. Bye bye.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Do you have any upcoming events that you're going to attend? Like, is that part of your plan for the next year?
I think the next big thing for me is I'm going away on Saturday to Dubai. So very different scene to London in terms of things don't shut down for Christmas. Whereas here it's
Mhm.
like the amount of people that have said Merry Christmas to me this week, I'm like, whoa.
What?
I feel like there's so many things that I need to do before Christmas. So I'm really excited to be in that. Like there's a lot of startups there and a lot of big businesses there. But the general gist, I've been going since I was 5 or 6, is like everyone is super collaborative, and I think it's number one, like safety is a big thing. Um, but there's a lot of expats, and suddenly when people are expats, they just want to help one another and
Yeah.
like relate on the fact of like, how's back home? Let's chat here. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to be out there for about a month and meet people out there. But I'm gonna be completely honest, in terms of events for 2026, nothing planned. I'm gonna go with the waves. I've got a couple of things that plan actually for 15 under 30. Our like supper club. We're doing a lunch for the first time at a really cool location. But compared to like I feel like other years, I'm like have something in the diary for every month. I very much decided to go with the flow because I don't know. Like I feel like startups grow and change so much.
Yeah.
So keeping an open mind to what's useful could be good.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I think I have to look ahead at the calendar, apply to things and see what comes back. You should do
Do
some
you have
speaking
anything
slots.
planned? Yeah, or are you also going with the flow?
Yeah, going like I've got a whole spreadsheet. I don't go with the flow with this. I'm a spreadsheet kind of girl, but we'll see what bites back, I think. And then prioritize from there. I've loved going to events though, I have to say. I think there's such value in meeting your audience in person and kind of helps you uncover different types of personas that you wouldn't like different verticals in your case, for example. Hospitality is a huge thing, but you might realize that it's also something else that you hadn't considered, right?
I've recently met quite a few people in the real estate business, which I hadn't really considered. And all of a sudden, they not only want to be like our destinations and use the platform, but they want to be
Yeah.
investors because they're just like, oh my God, this makes so much sense for my world. I don't have the time to set it up, but I want to own a bit of it. And I'm like, please, welcome.
Yeah.
So that's been really interesting of having conversations that you just, like you said, open up your mind and get you excited for the next steps.
Okay. I think oh, there's one other topic that I wanted to touch on because this is like our first female founder on our show, and I wanted to hear about you and like how you plan your work week, your work day, your work months. Because we were chatting about this before, and it's like most of the advice out there is for the tech bros. They like wake up at 5 a.m., do an ice bath, hustle, hustle, hustle. And it's like, it's something I've never wanted to or been able to
Yeah.
keep pace.
I just think a big thing at pioneering people is like transparency and authenticity of like, if on our platform people can work as and when they want, how can I tell my internal team that they've got a set
Right.
timetable? It's just like it goes against. So I've always been a person, again, I do think it is down to being a woman where how I work depends on my mood, my energy, but also I do not fit the typical 9 to 5. I am so ADHD. So there are days where I can do tiny little admin tasks and I can do them in like 2 hours. And there are weeks at a time where I can't touch stuff like that and I have to be running around. So working from home for me is great because I can work from home for like 3 hours and then I can like pop down to a co-working space 3 hours and then come back. Um, but the way I plan my working week is I try to do 2 or 3 days where I'm very much out there. So yesterday was one of those days. I left the house at 7:30 a.m. I came back at 10 p.m. I had in-person meetings, events, just humans, humans, humans. And then like Thursday, Fridays, I typically try to be at home. And I'm an early bird, so I love to start super early and have at least 3 hours a day where everyone's kind of asleep, not bothering me. And that's where I can do my more deep focus stuff. So I guess for me, it's never the same. Like sometimes my schedule starts a lot later, and ends a lot later, but it's working with what you think is right. So if you know that you need to be out there for a couple of days a week, do that. But I don't like to spread it out. Like if someone told me today I had an in-person meeting, I'd be like, "Are you joking?" Because I just spent so much time with people yesterday, or I spent so much energy like running around London for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's working with your energy, but also being smart about like your meeting times and then clustering them. So after this, I've got one more meeting, and then the whole afternoon I'm just going to be deep work and not speak to anybody. And then same thing with tomorrow. I'll plan everything in the morning, and then the afternoon is for my like deep work. So yeah, I don't really plan my month, which I should, but I definitely plan my weeks. And I have like social, not social, deep focus is the way that I look at it.
That's, I think, the biggest takeaway for me as a founder, and what I learned is to get rid of the guilt that you have to be constantly productive and constantly on and constantly available to wear all the hats, and just be honest with yourself. Work when you're most productive. Be easy on yourself on the slower days. In the end, you're doing great. Like you're overworking anyway compared to a normal human being.
Exactly. And I think of just another thing of like, I used to say to myself, like, I'm not going to work on the weekends, or I'm not going to work on Sundays. And actually, I just met a wonderful founder earlier, and she was like, that freaks me out more. Like, if I'm on holiday and I've left my laptop at home, I'm more stressed because I'm like, something could have happened. I was like, I'm the same. I'd rather have my phone and my laptop with me and know that if I want, I have the power to log in, check everything's fine.
Yeah.
And if everything is fine, I can continue with my day. But if it isn't, I can go in and quickly fix it. I think if setting strict barriers on yourself as a founder doesn't work. So, yes, I am online 7 days a week, but I can also, like, if I'm not feeling it on a Tuesday afternoon, be like, I have burnt out. It's been a really busy weekend because we had loads of shifts. I'm going to log off, go for a nice walk, get a coffee, and perhaps check emails later on. So, as a founder, I almost think it's silly to have a strict schedule because you don't know when your business needs you. But if you have a business that can allow you to have a strict schedule and that works for you, go ahead and do it. But for me, it just doesn't. It just doesn't work. Like our peak times are the times that everyone's having fun. Christmas, weekends, afternoons, evenings.
True, true. Good shout
So,
for going to Dubai then. That way.
but it's like I was thinking, I was like, first, because my family live there and run restaurants there now. I was like, what am I going to do if I'm in London? It's not like I can go and fill in the shifts. Well, I've done that before, but I'm not going to fill in all of them.
Yeah.
If they need my help, I will be online just 4 hours ahead of them. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Rita, it's been great having you on the show. It was wonderful chatting
Likewise.
with you. Thank you
Likewise.
for sharing. Um, and for those listening, if you are a female founder and you think I should be on the show, please do reach out. Rita, you've closed off season 1 wonderfully. Thank you so much. Where can people find you? You can find you on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. That's my favorite place to be. I'm typically quite active and respond to messages, so please message me on LinkedIn if you want to chat.
And then for any help, either getting a gig or hiring someone, the website is pioneering-people.com. I will also put that on our Spotify and YouTube accounts, so people can find you there.
Thank you so much. It's been an
Amazing.
absolute pleasure, and I look forward to staying in touch.